Celebrating the Indian Constitution on Indian Constitution Day, 26th November. The Constitution Day or the Samvidhan Divas is celebrated in India on 26 November every year to commemorate the adoption of the Constitution of India. The Constitution was adopted on 26 November 1949 and came into effect from 26 January 1950. The Constitution of India, or the Bharatiya Samvidhan, as it is known in Hindi, is the supreme fundamental governing document of India that lays the foundation and framework for the Indian political system, government, all procedures, powers, codes, rights, duties, and directive principles for its citizens and institutions. The Constitution of India is the longest written constitution in the world, containing 395 articles, 22 parts, and 12 schedules. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee of the Indian Constitution. On 19th November 2015, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment notified the decision of the Government of India to celebrate the Constitution Day on 26 November each year. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, or Baba Sahab Ambedkar as he is popularly known, was an Indian scholar, jurist, economist, political and social reformer. He supported women and labor rights. He also worked against discrimination towards Dalits and supported the Dalit Buddhist movement. He was a scholar who achieved his doctorate degrees from Columbia University and University of London. The Constitution of India was framed by a Constituent Assembly set up under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946. The Assembly's first meeting was held on December 9, 1946, when Dr. Sachidanand Sinha was elected as the Provisional President. On December 11, 1946, the Assembly elected Dr. Rajendra Prasad as its permanent chairman. The Constituent Assembly then set up 13 committees for framing the Constitution, including a drafting committee. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar became the chairman of the 7-member drafting committee. He is thus known as the father of the Constitution of India. The original Constitution was handwritten in Hindi and English. The calligraphy was done by Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada. The original documents of the Constitution are kept in special helium-filled cases in the Library of the Parliament of India, New Delhi. Each part of the Constitution begins with a depiction from India's national history. There are 22 artworks and illustrations by artists of the Shanti Niketan who worked under the guidance of Nandlal Bose. The artists, in miniature style, take one through 4,000 years of rich history and tradition spanning from Mohenjo-daro to Vedic period and right up to the freedom movement. The Preamble is an introductory statement that presents the principles of the Constitution. The Preamble page, along with some other pages of the original Constitution of India, was designed and decorated by the renowned painter Beohar Ram Manohar Sinha, who was one of the artists from Shanti Niketan. The Preamble to the Constitution of India reads as follows. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Let us try and understand the meanings of these words. Sovereign. Sovereign means having independent authority as a state without any external control. It gives a state the power to make its own laws on any subject. Socialist. This term was added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976. This refers to an economic system in which the means of production are owned by the community and not just a few private individuals, so that the ownership of land and wealth can be shared more and socio-economic inequalities reduced. Secular. This term was also added by the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution. Secularism means equal respect for all religions. Citizens are allowed to profess, practice, and propagate their religion. The word democratic refers to a political system in which people elect their own government. India follows a system of universal adult franchise, which means that every citizen of India above the age of 18 is entitled to vote. Republic. In a republican form of government, the head of state is an elected representative of people and not a hereditary monarch. Justice stands for rule of law and a system of equal rights, freedom, and opportunity for all. This also includes social, economic, and political justice. Liberty. The idea of liberty provides Indian citizens freedom of movement, thought, expression, and action within constitutional limits. Fraternity refers to a feeling of brotherhood and unity among the citizens and integrity of the nation. The Indian Constitution provides certain basic fundamental rights to all its citizens. These include right to equality before law, prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, equality of opportunity in matters of public employment, abolition of untouchability, etc. Right to freedom, protection of certain rights regarding freedom of speech, etc. The third is right against exploitation, protection in respect of conviction for offences, protection of life and personal liberty, protection against arrest and detention in certain cases, prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labour, prohibition of employment of children in factories, etc. The fourth is a right to freedom of religion, freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion, freedom to manage religious affairs, freedom as to payment of taxes for promotion of any particular religion, freedom as to attendance at religious instruction or religious worship in certain educational institutions. Cultural and educational rights, right to education, protection of interests of minorities, right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. Right to constitutional remedies. This right gives a right to people to protect their fundamental rights. The Constitution also provides for saving of laws, providing for acquisition of estates, etc., validation of certain acts and regulations, saving of laws giving effect to certain directive principles. While the Constitution had a provision for fundamental rights, the fundamental duties were added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976 upon the recommendations of the Swaran Singh Committee. The fundamental duties are intended to remind citizens that they have certain duties towards their country and other citizens, and that rights and duties go hand in hand. There are 11 fundamental duties, the 11th having been added later. It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures, to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform, to safeguard public property, and to abjure violence, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. Who is a parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or, as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. The last was added by the 86th Amendment in 2002.